Good morning, students. In the last class, what we have discussed is how molar conductivity is affected by dilution. You remember that graph we have discussed? For strong electrolyte, it was easy. Only the problem was for weak electrolyte. Then we also spoke about Kohlrausch law. I'll just recollect that. It was Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions, which says that every ion has its own conductivity irrespective of with which ion it is attached. Now how we can apply that, we will discuss with example. So we are talking about applications of Kohlrausch law. First application is, how do you read this? Limiting molar conductivity, or we can also call that as molar conductivity at infinite dilution, because that is the maximum point up till which it can be diluted. So for weak electrolyte we are calculating. So with question I am discussing so that it is clear exactly how we are calculating. So limiting molar conductivity of NaCl, which is strong electrolyte, is given to us. This value 7 centimeter square per mole. HCl is also given in the question. Sodium acetate, which is also a strong electrolyte, is given in the question. We are asked to find out what is the limiting molar conductivity of acetic acid. It is acetic acid. It's a weak electrolyte. Now, we know the limiting molar conductivity of acetic acid will be equal to that of H plus ion and acetate ion. So two cation ions sum will be equal to the total limiting molar conductivity. Now this we cannot find directly. We will be finding it indirectly using this law. Now if I add this H plus and Cl minus put together will give me this for HCl. Likewise, if I add sodium acetate, individual ions conductivity, I will get the limiting molar conductivity of the overall thing and minus of NaCl. Now why we are doing minus here? Because when we add them up, the common ions will get cancelled and we will be left over with the conductivity of H plus and acetate ion. Just see now, HCl's conductivity plus sodium acetate's conductivity minus that of NaCl. So this individually I have opened up and written for you. This individually I have opened up and written for you, even for NaCl. So when I do that, H left hand side we have H plus, that is left. Now in this side what all things are getting cancelled? Cl gets cancelled. We are also getting Na and Na, because this was plus, this is minus. This is plus, this is minus. What I am left with? Acetate ion and H plus. So that means if I add these two and subtract NaCl, I am getting that for acetic acid. So now those values I am just putting here and subtracting that for NaCl, I am left over with acetic acid's molar conductivity. So for strong electrolytes, if we know, we can calculate that for weak electrolyte. So it is little easy. You can think this way. What are we asked to calculate? Acetic acid. Out of the given data, which ions are not there in this acetic acid? NaCl, that we are going to subtract. This H is at least common, so we will add up. Acetate is common, we will add. This is not having anything common in what is asked, so that we will subtract from the remaining sum. Can try out some more numericals based on this. Second, application of Kohlrausch law. Degree of dissociation or dissociation constant can be calculated. Now there is a formula. Degree of dissociation means out of the overall, how much is there? We have alpha, that is the molar conductivity at any dilution, divided by limiting molar conductivity at infinite dilution. That means that ratio will give you alpha value. We can also calculate dissociation constant if asked. Alpha square C. Of course, denominator you have 1 minus alpha, but we will be neglecting it. Again, it is a part of equilibrium. Now there is one question given on page 82. where kappa was given, conductivity was given to us, concentration is given to us, lambda m naught was given, and we are asked to calculate this Ka value. So what we will do? We will have to first find alpha. To find alpha, we have to first calculate lambda m. We know lambda m is equal to 1000 kappa by molarity. We know kappa and molarity, we will get lambda m value. Then lambda m divided by m naught, which is given to us, we will find alpha. After you find alpha, you know alpha square c will give you Ka. So these two applications are there of Kohl-Ross law. Please practice some more numericals. I will give you in the assignment also. Next, to predict the products of electrolysis. If electrolysis is occurring with some electrolyte, what products will be there? That depends upon what are the electrodes we are using. If the electrode is inert, inert means the electrode itself does not take part in the reaction, like platinum, then it's easy to predict. If it is active means the electrode itself is going to participate, then the case is different. We will discuss both the cases. First I am talking about platinum electrode, that is inert electrode. Molten NaCl, molten means no water, just NaCl is heated in the molten state, carry out its electrolysis. What will be the products? NaCl first will ionize, cation and ion will be formed. Cations go to cathode. At cathode, reduction occurs. Reduction is what? Gain of electron. So after sodium ions gain electron, you will get sodium. So what is obtained at cathode? Sodium. Chloride ions will go to anode. At anode, oxidation occurs. Oxidation is loss of electron. You get chlorine gas at anode. Okay. Next. So this is easy. If it is molten, it is easy. If it is aqueous solution, we have to think. Now, if it is aqueous solution of NaCl, then what are the products? Aqueous solution means NaCl will ionize, water present also will ionize. So, NaCl ionization, water ionization. You are having now two cations and two anions, Na plus and H plus, Cl minus, OH minus. Which one should go to the respective electrode? That means there will be a competition between the two, right? Out of the two, which can undergo reduction easily will go at cathode, which will undergo oxidation easily will go at anode. Now, what we do is, we write the reduction equations, sodium reduction equation, H plus reduction, the E naught values are given in that EMF series, activity series. We know that more positive will be obtained at cathode. So sodium you are having minus value, hydrogen is positive value. So hydrogen will be preferred in this case, not sodium. Though sodium was there, it will not be obtained at cathode. Whenever there are two ions, there has to be the EMF series which we are supposed to refer. Next, there are two anions also. For both the anions, again we will write the equations. We will compare their E naught values. When we compare their E naught values, we find that for this, that is OH minus 1, that value is less. Either it should be more negative or less positive. That is obtained at anode. So this is less positive, it is obtained at anode. So this equation will be there. So what are the products now? In this case, the products will be 1, hydrogen, 2, oxygen. These will be the products obtained. Clear? So there are some questions given in your textbook also where they are asking to predict the products of electrolysis. We will be doing that. Next is, if we use active electrode then. If it is active electrode means the electrode itself is going to participate. Aqueous solution of silver nitrate using silver electrode. Silver nitrate will ionize, water will ionize, let them ionize. Electrode itself is going to participate. Let what the electrolyte be. The cathode, the electrode what we have taken here, copper, if you have taken silver, silver itself will undergo reduction at cathode. At anode, silver itself will undergo oxidation. If I use copper electrode, irrespective of the electrolyte, copper itself will undergo reduction as well as oxidation. So this is how you can predict the products of the electrolysis. Clear?